friends, how are you? I'm Ritika once again came up with another new episode of online game Truth, Dare or Situation. If you want to participate in this game, the links are given below so you can connect with me on those given links. So without any delay, I'm just directly going to connect with today's participant, Mr. Dane from USA. So hi Dane, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited for this. This sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun. I was thinking about. Have you ever seen like the old time game shows? It'd be like truth, dare, situations, and all like the audience is like, yeah, and you're the host.
So what do you think about this game? Like
I
Truth,
think
Dare or Situation?
I think it's gonna be fun. I'm a little scared. Like I don't know like what I'm allowed to say. I don't want to get you in trouble or anything because I'm gonna I'm just gonna say it how it is. So we'll see. Tell me the rules.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So I will ask you 10 questions.
Okay.
So there are two rules of this game. So my very first rule is this. I will ask you 10 questions, whatever you choose, truth, dare or situation. So all questions depend on these. And the 10th question is like a rapid fire question, which has five sub questions of this question. And
Okay.
the second one is like a disclaimer of this game. So I made this game for entertainment purpose only. I do not want to hurt anyone's feelings or
Okay.
emotions. So what will you choose? Truth, dare, or situation?
I will choose. Hey, here's a an American movie reference. I will choose truth. You can't handle the truth. You know that reference?
Yeah,
Jack
I
Nicholson.
will.
You can't handle the truth.
Okay, so my very first question for you, Dan. Have you ever wet your shirt from crying over a TV show or a movie?
Have I ever wet my shirt from crying so much? Like I'm crying and my shirt's wet. Yeah, I definitely have. I'll give the first example. I'll give two examples. The first example is when I was a kid. There was this movie about a dog, and all dog movies are sad because you always know the dog he's gonna die at the end, and like they build a relationship. So I watched this movie. It was called My Dog Skip, and it was super sad because you get to watch him grow up, and the dog dies, and the kid grows up, and I'm just like I'm a little kid and I'm bawling. But as an adult, like I don't think movies get to me as much because I'm not like I'm always fighting it. Like as a man, I'm like, don't cry, man, do not cry. But I watched this YouTube interview, if that counts, and it was like a real thing. There was this girl, her name's Yamni Park, and she was in North Korea, and she was a defector, and she tells her life story. I cried during that. That was like a month ago, 8 times, like 8 times, like just tears coming down my face, and I couldn't even fight it. It was terrible. It was so sad. Like I probably had to change my shirt. It was so sad, you know. So that I think, yeah, I definitely have.
So you are an emotional guy.
Yeah, I think I definitely am. You know how I found out I was an emotional guy? Somebody one time they said, "Hey, you're real sensitive, man," and I'm like, I got mad that they called me sensitive, and anger is like an emotion, and so I was like, wait, I am sensitive because I wouldn't have got angry at you calling me sensitive. So I guess I am. You know.
Okay. So second one is for you. What something in your web browsing history that you would be embarrassed about if shared on a social media app such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter?
Oh my gosh, are you serious? Hold on. Grandma, I'm so sorry if you're listening to this. No, I would say, when I was younger, see, Americans, man, we're into some weird stuff. We're dirty. I had this Nigerian friend. He came from Nigeria, right? And he came here and he was telling me the story about how he left his village and he's like, man, we're coming to the land of God. We're coming to the land of God because he was coming to Texas. He was coming to America, and it was funny, like their perception of America was like, man, like they all read the Bible and they're all good people. When he came to Texas, he told me, he's like, man, this ain't the land of God. You people are crazy, man. So when I was younger, I would definitely be really embarrassed at some of the things that I looked at, like, like when you're young, you find out that you can look. Because I grew up when the internet started coming out. When you're young, you find out you can look at women, like naked women online, and so I definitely did that a lot when I was younger. And so like I looked at it so much, I think certain keys on my keyboard were like stuck together from like looking it up. But I think now, like as an adult, the most embarrassing thing, because I mean it's not like that anymore. I'm 30 years old. Is like I got a car and I don't really know much about my car. And so like as a man, like we're supposed to know about cars. We're supposed to know how to fix cars. And you said you're an engineer. You probably know about my car more than me. Like you could probably put it together, take it apart, all that stuff. But I have to look up like that's it, like how to check your oil, like just like crazy things. And I think if people saw that, like my male friends, I'd be really embarrassed because they'd be like, dude, you don't know about cars, So I think that would be it.
Interesting one. Okay, so my third question for you.
Okay.
Have you ever shared a secret you should not have or promised you would not?
Oh no. Have I ever shared a secret? Well, so I was in the army, right? I was in the army for about 6 years, and like we would always do
Oh,
like crazy stuff in the army. And I had this gay friend. He was gay, but he acted like I don't know if you guys got gay people over there, but he didn't act like some gay people are like real feminine, but he wasn't feminine. He was just like acted like the rest of the guys. But back then in the army, you weren't allowed to like be openly gay. Now it's different. But one time, like I never like he was my buddy. We went to war together. We went to Iraq. I never cared about that. It didn't bother me. But I always forget that he was a gay dude, right? And so one time we were in my room and we were drinking and stuff. Like we were drinking real heavy, and we were just hanging out, and we were looking at these like just like pictures of ex girlfriends and stuff. And he still thought girls were pretty and all that. And he was getting real drunk, and he starts like scooting closer to me, and I'm like, dude, what's going on, man? you know. And he tried to touch me, and I was like, bro, dude, chill out, man. Like, what's going on, bro? Like I'm really drunk, but no, dude, that's never okay. And then he's like, dude, it is okay. And I was like, bro, you got to get out of here, man. I said, you know what? I'm gonna keep this between us, man. Like that's really strange. You got to leave. You're acting real funny. You're trying to do stuff with me. And in the army, like the way we are, we're like there are no secrets. The next day, I was like, I told him, I said, hey man, I'm not gonna tell nobody. Next day, I was like, dude, check out what my buddy did last night. He tried to get. And so I told everybody, man. Everyone's laughing, high fiving. Like we weren't mean. Like nobody cared. Like we weren't making like it was just a funny situation. So we were all like laughing about it. We really razz like men. We razz each other hard. We're like, man, I can't believe you did that. So I told everybody, of course. So it was funny.
okay.
I got some crazy answers.
Yeah. So my fourth question for you. What do you do when you are alone and no one is watching you?
Oh my gosh. These questions are so crazy, but I said I would answer them. So what I do when I'm alone and no one is watching me is I got this little candle here. I light the candle. I turn on some nice, soft, slow music. I rub lotion on my body. I'm like, oh man, it's been a hard day. Um, what I do when I'm alone, honestly, the embarrassing thing what I do when I'm alone is like I just lay around and do nothing. Honestly, like I just lay around like I'm just like the day's done. I don't do anything. I like got my little phone. I watch a bunch of stupid stuff on Netflix, and I'm just like, man, like I'm just so lazy after a hard day. And I think that's kind of embarrassing because I'm really I'm like a go getter, but sometimes I'm just like a sloth. Like I just want to lay down and just eat nasty food and do nothing. But I gotta practice that discipline. Otherwise, I'll just lay around and do nothing and light candles. I like candles. I'm like an old lady. I like candles. I'm like smells so good, cookies and cream. But that's the embarrassing thing is I just lay around and do nothing. You know. and rub lotion on myself. You got to take care of yourself.
That one is interesting. That rubbing lotion on body.
Well, I was trying to like set it up like I was doing something bad, like something dirty, and then it was really I just lay around. You know? So people are listening. They're like, "Oh my gosh, what is he gonna say?" He just lays around, man. You know? Yeah.
So fifth one is, what is the most embarrassing thing that has happened to you this year?
Oh no, that's terrible. And like, I mean, you said no one. I mean, I can say whatever I want, I guess. But so this one time, I was at work and I had my hat, and my hat was kind of hot and it was bothering me, and so I put my hat like tucked into the back part of my pants, right? Well, I was kind of sick that day, and I had to use the restroom, right? I had to go number two. I had to go poop, and I forgot my hat was there. It was my dad's hat. My father, he died, and it was his hat, and it was like real special to me, right? And so, like, I went to use the restroom, and I didn't know my hat was still there. Well, my hat falls in the toilet, and I use the restroom, and I poop in my hat. Like, I'm like, no, like I look down and my hat's there, and it's like it's disgusting, and there's poop in it. And I'm like, no way, you know. I'm like, this sucks. And so like my first instinct is I got a plastic bag. I put it in a plastic bag and I threw it away. And I'm like, man, dude, that was my dad's hat. That hat was so special, and I just pooped on it. You know, that's terrible. And so like I'm thinking about it all day. My friend's like, hey, what happened to your hat, man? I was like, I don't know, dude. I lost it. You know, like I didn't want to tell him. I didn't want to tell him what happened. So then later, like I'm like, man, that's my dad's hat. I got it. It's like the only thing I got from him. Well, I got a couple of things from him. So I went back in the dumpster. I jumped in the dumpster. I find the hat. I go inside and I wash it like 5 or 6 times with soap and water. And I'm like, it's so disgusting. It's so gross. But I had to get it back, and so I got it back. And and you know what? Like I said, like how in the army, like we used to like make fun of each other. I made fun of myself and my friend. He was this he was working with me. I was like, dude, guess what just happened? He's like, no. I told him, and he's like, dude, I was wondering where you're at. So you're washing your poop hat? I was like, yeah, man, I had to, bro. I had to save it. So it was super embarrassing, and now the whole world knows. So there it is.
Thank you for sharing this one with us. It's
Well,
really embarrassing.
I don't know if you know who. There's this American rapper. His name is Eminem, and there's this movie he's in. It's called 8 Mile. And in the movie, he just tells everybody about himself, like all the bad things about him. And so he's having a rap battle, and it's called the Eminem Principle. If you say everything bad about you, then nobody can say anything about you. I've already said it all. Like so, no one could be like, "Hey, you're the guy who pooped in your hat." I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I already said it. So you can't make fun of me." You know.
Yeah, this one is interesting. So my sixth question for you: who is the last person that you stalked?
Wow, like you mean like I'm like stalking them, like I'm following them, looking at them. Well, wow. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So I'm like friends with a lot of people from because I wasn't on social media for so long, so I had to find all the friends from back in the day, and so I'm friends with a lot of people, and you can't really keep track of who accepts your friend request after you like send out a bunch. And I didn't know like I had this ex girlfriend, and she like blocked me after I invited her to be my friend or whatever, which was weird because I don't know, like I wasn't gonna try to like send her some weird message or something, you know. And so I'm on this group, like we're talking about high school, like we're all sending messages about high school. And I noticed like somebody said something like they were in a conversation with someone. So I guess when you're blocked, like you can't even see anything they say. And I was like, that's weird. Why is somebody responding to nothing? And so then I looked this person up, and I was blocked, and I was like, man, it made me feel bad. It made me feel like I was like, man, what am I some kind of creep, you know? But I think honestly, she's like a real like moral type woman, and she's married, and she's probably like, it's inappropriate to be friends with your ex boyfriend when you're married. So I understand it. I wouldn't necessarily say that's like stalking, but I think that's what they mean. Like you click on someone's profile and you're trying to find out like where they're at, what they're doing. And I mean, it was cool. I seen her, and she was like, she's got a kid, and she's married and happy, and it's like, there's no animosity, but I was just like, I don't know, kind of hurt my feelings, man. I was like, whatever, screw you, you know.
So, seventh one for you. Are you one of the people who panicked when the toilet paper became out of stock in every supermarket?
Oh wow, that's crazy. When the toilet paper got out of stock. I mean, that's like my last question where I pooped on my hat. Like, that's crazy. No, honestly, I wasn't. I'm not the panicky type. I feel like it was all kind of like this whole thing is like a fear based thing, and a bunch of people got scared. And I think it's crazy. Like, I always thought, like, what if we knew this was going to happen, and you invested stocks in toilet paper and hand sanitizer? You'd be so rich at that point. Like, if you had stocks in toilet paper, who's buying stocks in toilet paper? But I don't know. I'm not the type of person to freak out, and like I live by myself, so it's not like I need like a big giant box of toilet paper. But at that point, I wasn't. I was in prison, and so like I was watching it on the news, and the news, like, when all your only aspect is watching the news, like, the news is kind of scary, man. Like, you're like, what the heck is going on out there? Like, I was about to get released, and I'm like, man, what world am I about to step into where people are beating each other up over toilet paper, and and people are like, I don't like people were burning stuff down, and like, it was crazy. Like, but then I come out and I realize, like, most of that stuff, like, when you're in an area, it's not really like that. They're talking, like, what the news does is they're talking about like a specific crazy example. The whole world's not like that. Like, mostly in Texas, I live in a city, so people are a little bit like weird about that kind of stuff, but not so much. Like, they kind of have their own rules compared to the rest of America, which is weird. But I'm not the panicky type of person, I guess.
Okay. So, eighth one is what book are you embarrassed to have read?
What book? What book am I embarrassed to have read? Um, Man, well, so I read like a couple hundred books in like 6 years when I was locked up, and I was always like the guy who's reading like psychology books, philosophy books, trying to increase my knowledge. But sometimes that stuff would get old fast, and you're like, it's boring. Eventually you're like, man, I need some entertainment in my life. And so like I was always the guy that people would walk by and they're like, hey, what are you reading today, man? Oh, that's crazy. How are you reading that? Like, dude, you're so smart. Blah blah blah. And so every once in a while, I'd get like a romance novel. Like, I don't know if you know who Nicholas Sparks is. It'd be like romance, like, man meets a woman, they fall in love, and then they break up for a little bit. Then they realize they were lost without each other, and it's just like those stories are nice. So I'd be reading Nicholas Sparks' book, but I'd have like another book in front of it. I'd be like, people are like, "What are you reading, man?" "Oh, I'm just psychology, bro. I'm trying to learn." And then they're like, "No, dude, you're reading a Nicholas Sparks book." I'm like, "Yeah, I am, man. It feels good to read the romance stories." So I mean, that was kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, it was like an escape. I gotta like be in a romantic land. But other than that, like, most of the books that I've read, I haven't read in a while since I've had all this stuff going on. But I guess Nicholas Sparks romance books were embarrassing.
So, ninth one for you. What do you eat when you can choose anything and no one is around to see?
When no one is around to see, what do I eat? Oh, that's bad. That's really bad. That might be the worst question you asked so far. Well, when I was little, I was obsessed with, you know what marshmallows are? Like you put them on, yeah, marshmallows. Like, I was obsessed with marshmallows, so obsessed that as an adult I can't even buy them now because they're so good. Like, I'll just eat them by themselves. I was camping with this woman recently, and like she was trying to be like on a diet and stuff, and like I bought this big bag of marshmallows that we could share, but really it was just for me. Like, that we could share, we could like have them in the fire, and she only eats one. I eat like 30 of them. And she's like looking at me. I'm like, "Ruh, ruh, ruh," like stuffing marshmallows, scarfing them down. And so I think when I'm alone, like I'll eat marshmallows all day, all night. I love them. They're super sweet. Like I can't believe you brought. I think I'm gonna go buy some marshmallows right now. You know.
Okay. So 10th one is like a rapid fire as I told you earlier. So are you ready for that?
I'm rapid fire. I'm ready.
Okay, so first question for you. How did you find out that Santa Claus is not real?
First time I heard that. I walked into the kitchen and my mother and father they were eating the cookies that we left out for Santa, and I was like I was so let down. But that's how I found out. It was a very sad time of my life to realize that your parents would lie to you about such a trivial thing like Santa.
So in your childhood, you find out that Santa Claus is not real.
Yeah, I found out he was not real because my mother and father were selfishly eating the cookies that we left out for him. And I was like, you guys are Santa Claus. Yeah. They made us make cookies for them. That's sick, huh? Like they're like, hey, we're making these for Santa together, blah blah blah. And then I find out they're just over there scarfing the cookies that we all put our blood, sweat, and tears in, and Santa's not real.
So talk about the craziest thing that you overheard.
Okay. When I was a kid, I was at my friend's house, and his parents were just dirty and nasty, and they were having sex in the next room. And I was like, I thought they were like fighting. I thought they were beating each other up. I was like, what are all these noises going on, you know? And my friend's like, oh, my parents are. We were like 10 years old. Oh, they're having sex. I was like, do they know that there's a guest here? Like, like they're just like I don't even like. That's gross. You got kids in the next room. Like, wait till later. Be quiet. Like, they were being loud. I was like, ugh, you know? It's gross. It was so gross. You said most outrageous. That was outrageous.
Did you experience watching yourself die as part of your strangest dream?
As part of my strangest dream, did I experience myself die? I don't think I've ever experienced that, but I did experience like the craziest death dream I had. I was walking around with my family, and we were in this hotel, and there were all these dead bodies. And like when you're a kid, like they're like dead, they're skeletons. I still remember it. They got cobwebs hanging out from them. And I'm like, dude, what the heck's going on? I wake up, I'm like sweating. I'm like, why were there dead bodies in a hotel? And you know, like now, like I read a lot of stuff on dreams. I'm like, what did that mean? Because dreams like mean stuff. Like, why are me and my family in a hotel with a bunch of dead people? But I don't know. I just threw it away and never thought about it again until right now. So now I got to write it down and analyze that. What was that about? You know?
So, what is your worst childhood memory?
My worst childhood memory. I think that, see, that's a very serious question, but I think I'm going to keep this one light. The first memory that came to my mind was my brother. He was, we used to get swats with a belt. My dad used to swat us when we were bad. You know, like, hey, you guys messed up, taking off the belt, you're getting a swat. Well, my brother one time, he was always getting in trouble. Like he wasn't really a bad kid, but he was just not good at not getting caught. I was a bad kid, but I never got caught. You know, but he had his hands up against the wall because when you're getting swat, you can put your hands against the wall. He had his hands against the wall, and he was like when you're a kid, you overdo it. You're like like it's so terrible, it's so bad when you're getting swat. And so I don't know what went through his mind, but he turned around as my dad was reaching back to give him a swat. He turned around and he gets hit in the Johnson, like he gets hit in the junk, and my dad hit him right there, and my brother falls to the ground and starts crying like, and he's like, like because my dad hit him in the front, and then my dad starts crying. My dad never cried because he's like, oh my gosh, I just hit my son, you know what I mean? And so my dad's crying, my brother's crying, and it was like I just remember that vividly. I was like, what the like. I still ask him to this day. We were recently talking. I was like, dude, why did you turn around, man? Like, what's wrong with you, bro? So that's I guess that's a bad childhood memory.
Yes, actually. So, Tell us something about yourself, about your city, and about your podcast.
Yeah, about my podcast. Well, my name is Dane Gordon, as we already established. I've been doing a podcast for about 6 months, and it's pretty much like I would say like self-help. But what I do is I talk about like a lot of my failures, a lot of things that I messed up. As I shared with you before, like I'm a veteran. I was in prison. I talk about that. I talk about the mistakes I made. Like I really don't have any secrets about like what I was telling you earlier. Like I don't have any secrets about it, and I just tell. I try to be authentic. And I try to tell the truth. And when I first started it, because it's developing, I've only done like 20 episodes. When I first started it, it was just kind of like me solo telling my story. And now I've invited other people, other prisoners, other like people in the church, people just all different walks of life. And I try to ask them about life. Like one of my friends, he's in, like really into like existential, like weird type stuff. And we just kind of talked about it. Like just I want to know different stuff. I want to know people's stories. And so that's what I do. It's called Dane Gordon Podcast. It's on like it's so cleverly named. It's my name and podcast, you know. And so it's on Spotify and Apple, and I really love doing it. I really enjoy doing it, and the real reward about it is to me is like I'm like I always when I started getting better, when I started getting my life better, I always wanted to like get out there and speak and tell my story, and I'm really passionate about that. And I want people to learn so that they don't have to go down the same road I did. And I used to think like, man, I would love to be on a stage and tell my story in front of all these people, but I didn't know about podcasts back then. And then I found out about podcasts, and the really rewarding thing is pretty much every time I've done something, somebody messages me and like, man, you really helped me. You really made you helped me get through this. You helped me get over that, and that really gives a lot of meaning to my life. Where I'm like, man, like I'm doing something worthwhile. And for as far as city, I'm in El Paso, Texas right now. I'm probably leaving El Paso and moving to Wyoming. This isn't my home city, my home state, but I'm probably gonna move to be around some family and stuff because I'm kind of here by myself right now. But it's like an adventure, like figuring out life. So that's that's me, and I think that yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, whoever wants to check out Dan's podcast, links are given in description so you can check it out. And your podcast is really inspiring for those people who are just trying to start a new life after spend a long time in prison.
Yeah,
Actually, there are lots of people who justify their mistakes,
yeah, yeah.
but you are the one of them people who are just try to showing their mistakes and try to inform the others people that this is the mistake and what is the result. Actually, I have faces, so you people are also be beware of that kind of situation. So that's why this is a really interesting thing you are doing.
Yeah.
And actually, you are doing a really good job. Hats off to you. Yeah, it took a lot of courage to showing your mistakes to the public, because in today's world there are lots of people try to justify their mistakes only.
Yeah.
They are justified themselves because they just think it's my mistake, so I have the right to make the mistakes. But you
Hmm.
are the one who shows the real face of mistakes actually.
Well, I think you're
So
saying
that
some real gold right there because the number one thing that'll change wherever you are in life is just as simple as taking responsibility. I used to sit there and blame everyone else for where I'm at, what I'm doing, why I was here. It's my mom's fault, it's my dad's fault, it's their fault. Really, I'm the one who did it, and that's like once you start taking responsibility for your life, that's a game changer. And I think you're telling some real gold right there. You know, good.
definitely, definitely. So it is nice episode with you. So thank you, Dan, for connecting with me,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
thank you for giving your precious time.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah.